Hello, my name's Georgie Newbury. Welcome to Common Farm Flowers in Somerset. We're between Bruton and Wincanton in the southwest of England. It's about 6:30 in the morning. I've got my cup of coffee and I thought I'd give you a little tour of the flower farm. This patch is called the Pitchby Yard because that was the name of the games field. My husband's Fabrizio was at school in Sherborne, about 20 minutes away, and the playing fields were called the Pitchby Yard. So that's why this place is called the Pitchby Yard. And this year, this is where we're growing our annual plants. So we've got our second crop. Our first crop is in the polytunnel, which I'll show you another time. But we've got sweet peas and Ammi Majus and Ammi Visnaga and sunflowers and zinnia and larkspur and so many things growing here. I'm not quite sure the whole list off the top of my head, but it's important that you know we are artisan flower farmers and we grow bouquets, which is a very fiddly way to make a living, but creatively satisfying. So that's why I do it, because I'm very easily bored. So I grow 250 different varieties of cut flower and foliage through the year, which is a stupid amount. And when I have students here, which I often do, asking how we do it and seeing if they could work out if they could have a flower farm in their garden themselves, I always say, grow a bit less than we do. And your mind won't be so frazzled. I always think that if you opened my head with a sledgehammer, it would fall open in a giant spreadsheet going into both directions. So if you're thinking about flower farming, and that's the point of this YouTube channel, about encouraging people to grow flowers for the environment, but maybe also for their pocket. If you're thinking of growing flowers and selling some, I would grow fewer varieties than we do, just for your peace of mind. But it looks nice, doesn't it? It's sort of, it's very tidy. Our beds are too far apart from each other. The idea is that they have a wide enough path that I can pull a trolley easily up and down for harvesting. But obviously you can see how our beds have got narrower and the paths have got wider over the years. So in fact, Fabrizio and I are talking about when this crop comes out, we're going to reconfigure the beds here. But the good thing about these beds is that they do face the prevailing wind, which comes from that direction, straight up the beds at the other end. And you can see we've got lots of tall trees in the distance, and they're a great wind protector for our little flower farm. Mostly willow, some poplar, all very fast growing. We've only been here since 2004 and it is now 2021, and there was nothing there when we came. None of the hedges, none of the trees. And I hope you can hear some of the birdsong. It's quite noisy here. And when we first came, there was no noise because there were no hedges and there were no trees. So I think flower farming as a way to help the planet a little bit is a brilliant way to do it, because we have thick hedges and lots of banks of trees to protect the flowers, and they provide great habitat for the birds. So I'm going to press pause now and we'll go on for a little bit more walk. Enjoy your coffee. I'll see you in a minute. I'm always saying to people when they talk about flower farming that if they can, to use trees as a wind break. These crabapple trees, which love it here, are in a very bad place, clearly. We should have them at the windward end of a plot, but they're brilliant because they give us lots of blossom in the spring and then fruit in the autumn, which is really, really useful for floristry, but also making jelly. But look at the hedges. They're not bad, are they? Right, on we go. This hawthorn blossom smells like sweet, like freshly mown hay. It's absolutely lovely to stand under this arch and you sort of drown in the scent. And obviously these hedges give really great wind protection, not only for the cut flower patches, but here is the meadow, which is coming along nicely. This is Fabrizio's pretty much his life work. When we came here, there were no wildflowers at all. And we now have 25, 35 different kinds of wildflowers. And I will often have a little wildflower chat on this channel for you. We've lost 97% of our wildflower meadows in England, in the UK, since the Second World War. But the meadow we've made here has regenerated in the last 17 years. And it's not an enormous patch. So if everybody took a little corner, I mean, obviously not everybody has enough room, but if everybody who has a little space took a little corner and just let the grass grow a bit longer. Have a look at my previous post about No Mow May, the one I did yesterday, where we've just let the grass grow long outside the kitchen door, and you'll see what can just appear as if by magic. This will be absolutely incredible in about a month, so I'll do more on it then. But you can see it's just coming. The buttercups, the yellow buttercups, are just bouncing up, and the cowslips, little blocks of cowslips, they have self-seeded from a bed that I made some years ago. And there's one of our patches. Can you see the shed just the other side? Let's go and have a look. This patch is called the Pale, and this year it's had the tulips in it. You can see I've still got about a week's worth. They're incredibly late. Normally by now all these beds would have been emptied out and prepped up for the dahlias. But I've only got one dahlia bed ready, and the dahlias are still in the polytunnel shooting, getting ready to, they haven't even been brought out to harden off yet. We've had a very cold spring here in England. But the tulips are lovely. I grow them as an annual. And they had a tough start, which is why some of the early ones are still in the ground, because they were too short after this incredible cold weather we've had to use, really. But the later ones have been fantastic. This is one of my favourites. This is Queen of the Night. Isn't she stunning? And her brother, Black Hero, also a great hero of my cut flower patch, was here, as you can see. But he's been used up and sent out in all our bouquets. So this patch will be dahlias later on in the season. And you can see the meadows just the other side. And there's the polytunnel in the distance. We're a tiny little organisation, really. We don't have masses of tunnels and masses of stuff, which is why I think it might make quite an interesting YouTube channel, because if we can do it on quite a small scale here, perhaps we'll inspire some other people to have a go. This shed we made for a garden design we did years ago at the National Garden Show in Shepton Mallet, where I met Sarah Raven when we had this little shed was in the middle of the of our little show garden. Fabrizio made it, and it was our first bit of press she gave us. We had a piece in the Telegraph. Thank you, Miss Raven, that was fantastic. Anyway, the shed then came back here and has been in the corner of this patch ever since, and is used for a place to dump your tools at the end of the day. So it's been very, very useful. Anyway, should we go and see some more? And this patch is called the Lady Smock because I've missed them. But earlier in the spring, not much earlier, there was lady smock everywhere in the long grass around here. All of our patches have long grass and wild patches round them, so there's somewhere for the wildlife to live. Yes, there is always a barrow full of projects on the go. This is not a show garden, it is a wildlife garden which earns its living as a flower farm. So if it was too tidy, where would the wildlife live? Anyway, this patch, the lady smock, let's open the gate, is supposed to be shrubs and perennials, and it is sort of, but I spend my life defragging the garden. If you were making a flower farm, then this size patch would do very nicely. It's about half an acre, or I think, yeah, half an acre. And you can see that I've got these long, thin beds again, but they're facing the wrong way. Those tall trees we were looking at earlier are now to our right. So everything gets flattened in a big wind. But never mind. You can live in a perfect world if you work very hard at it. But later in the summer, this will be a blaze of colour. For the moment, here come the alliums. Slowly, slowly. I do love them. Look at that. That's Purple Sensation. These have been in the ground here for years, and they are as regular as clockwork and a great favourite of mine and the bees. If you are growing not just for yourself but for the environment, then an allium is a lovely thing to give your bees. And you can see they've pinged up all over the place. And I also have things like Alchemilla mollis, which I'm allergic to, and it gives me terrible welts on my arms. This is a daisy, and we have all sorts of Achillea and delphiniums and giant scabious, and this gorgeous little gentian for my posies. Some things are more successful than others, and sometimes I grow things which I shouldn't, but because I like them. You know, things that are tiny heads but are pretty in a garden. I think I'm never quite sure if I'm a gardener or a florist at heart. But this, for you lovely Americans, this is good old 9-bark Physocarpus to the Brits, and this is my absolute favourite foliage. Isn't that great colour? Look at that rust. So there you go. There's a little tour of the flower farm for a Monday morning. And if you've enjoyed it and you'd like to know more, then please subscribe and press the bell button so that you'll get told when we have new clips out. And I'm determined, I have decided, I'm going to be evangelical, even more evangelical than I have been in the past, encouraging people to grow flowers for their environment, but also, if you can make a little money out of your garden. The Americans, you have a great tradition of backyard farms, much more so than we do here in the UK. And I think it's so sensible. You know, gardens are expensive toys, so make them work for a living. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this session. It hasn't been too early morning-ish for you. I really could have done my hair. You will see me often in the videos, but I will never be wearing makeup, and I may or may not have brushed my hair. But I'm a gardener at heart, not really a fashionista, although in my youth, that's another story. Anyway, see you soon, and thank you very much for watching.